Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Before the Kickoff podcast. Wow, the combine has finally came and gone. We're going to talk about it a little bit, aren't we, Chase?
Yes, we are. The NFL Combine, a lot of players definitely have risen up their draft stock, wide receivers and offensive linemen alike. This is going to be definitely an exciting draft when it comes.
Yeah, definitely. That first thing we want to get into is the biggest story, the biggest person. Everybody's watching this man, Manti Te'o. We already know about all this Lene Kakua crap, so I really don't want to get into that junk. But, we have to talk about what happened during this combine. And the first day, when he was there, obviously, first day, I think he handled the media well. They really sent him some rough questions, some questions that he, chose not to answer. But he pretty much weathered the storm in the press conference, and I think he did a good job of showing teams that, he is mentally stable, because, there's a lot of claims that he's crazy or stupid or something.
Yeah.
But he did show that he's mentally stable and that he will stop all this junk, and he's going to go into an NFL team, and he's going to be the linebacker that they expect him to be. Before we get into his combine results, what did you think about that press conference?
I thought that he, like you said, he handled himself well. I felt that, he really did want to get rid of the Lene Kakua. I feel that no matter what he does throughout his career, that's always going to haunt him. Even if it's 10 years from now, people are still going to be asking about that. We're still going to get more information about it as days go on. And I like his focus. He wants to focus on football. It's probably the only thing that he's really focused on in life. He said it best himself, 1,000 other people, wish they could be here, and I'm lucky to be here, and I'm just going to seize my opportunity. It obviously shows that he is focused on football. There's no outside distractions in his head. He is looking to play in the NFL and play to the best of his abilities. He definitely showed me that he is mature enough to be in the NFL level, and I think he can mesh well with any locker room he's put in.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that this isn't going to happen again. I think you made it very clear that this isn't going to happen again. Still, I don't really want to get into why it happened. We've already talked about that. We don't need to talk about that anymore. But he did handle the media well, and that's something that he's going to have to do with, especially if he finds himself in a big market like the New York Giants or something like that. If he has to go to that media, he has to be prepared to keep answering these questions, as you said, for a long time to come. He better be prepared for that, because that will be coming. And even if it's a small market team, he's still going to have to deal with that at some level. The fans want to hear about that. Hell, even maybe his teammates are going to want to hear about that, because it could be a little awkward in the locker room, and that may need to be addressed. Now, on to his combine results. Honestly, let's just go through it, okay? The broad jump, he ended up posting a 9.5, which really isn't that great. Luke Kuechly, who was the highest taken middle linebacker last year, got a 10.3. And Mike Mayock said last year's average was 9.8, so Te'o underperformed there. Also, in the 40-yard dash, I believe Te'o official time was a 4.82, which was... It's just pretty slow. Kuechly ran a 4.58. Alec Ogletree, who's in this draft and is really Te'o's number one competitor, ran it in a 4.7. So Te'o really underperformed in the 40-yard dash, and that was really, really surprising for me to see, because whenever somebody underperforms here, it just really tells me something. I'm not saying that you have to blow my socks off, but you have months to prepare for this, and you're not ready for this, and you underperform this. It really shows me something. Chase, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, he was also stumbling in the shuttle runs. He was falling all over the place. He didn't look as aggressive. I really do feel, even though Te'o himself, like you said, he handled the press conference very well, talking about, he wants to get away from this Kakua shit. But I feel that there's something still in his mind that's holding him back. He looked really bad out there. Especially when you look at Te'o, you know that he's a fast downhill type of guy. You feel that the 40-yard dash would be something that he would be good at, and he does not excel whatsoever. If anything, Alec Ogletree looked better than Te'o did today. Te'o is definitely not going to be a first-round pick after this type of performance. I think that he's just going to be a second-round pick. It's a shame that had to happen to him, and it really just show that Te'o, there may be something holding him back. But he's still a good prospect. He's still a good prospect in the NFL. I feel a lot of teams will be looking at him. But if he keeps performing like this, and especially on game days, there's going to be some problems because he can't be stumbling doing shuttle runs. I mean, that's ridiculous to me.
And I think you said it perfectly. He's no longer a first-round draft pick. It went away for me. After seeing that, I mean, look at John Harbaugh. Okay, if you haven't seen this video, picture, whatever, you need to see it. Because when Manti Te'o is running his 40, in the middle of his 40, you just see John Harbaugh just shaking his head, or just saying no. And John Harbaugh has the 32nd pick in this draft. So if the 32nd pick is saying, not impressed. In fact, not even, It's just like, no. This is not good. What you're doing is not good. In the middle, he could tell this is not going to be a good time. We don't want this kid. Now, maybe I'm inferring a little bit. Maybe I'm assuming a little bit. But that nod or that shake of the head really says a lot to me. And it really tells me that NFL teams just aren't really high on Te'o right now. I mean, he's had a lot of interviews. Hopefully, he's won those interviews, because if he's going to be a first-round draft pick, those interviews must have been really good. Because from what we saw on the field, it just wasn't very good. The only very good thing he did was a vertical jump, which still didn't beat Alec Ogletree. Te'o getting a 33, which was 8th best among total linebackers, but he didn't blow our socks off. He didn't even come close to that. He underperformed in the combine, and the combine is overrated, yes. But what have you done for me lately? The NFL was a what have you done for me lately league, and what has Te'o done lately? Well, he just posted this bad combine, the scandal, and the latest game he's played was a national championship game where he was atrocious.
Yep.
So no doubt to me, Manti Te'o is no longer a first-round draft pick.
I totally agree. Ever since the national championship game, it just has been a downward spiral of Manti Te'o's draft stock.
Chase, it's time for your College Minute of the Week.
All right, guys, it's time for the College Minute of the Week. Poor news for star Latulier. I apologize. But his heart, hopefully he gets better soon. He's definitely a talented defensive tackle. But that means good things for Sharif Floyd, who is the prospect of the week. Sharif Floyd is a monster of a defensive tackle, defensive end, wherever you want to put him. He played defensive end his first 2 years at the University of Florida. Then moved to the defensive tackle, can play 1 or 3 technique. Definitely a good fit for a lot of schemes. The 4-3-3-4. Sharif Floyd is definitely the best defensive tackle or the second best defensive tackle. You may want to look at Star Latulier after the pro day to kind of compare these two. But Sharif Floyd is raising some eyebrows and opening some eyes. This kid is a talent, and you do not want to miss him. And that's my College Minute of the Week.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it.
All right, it's time for our College Minute of the Week. Oh God, this week it is Matt Barkley. Well, Matt,
Hold over.
You're not really guilty of anything, but I just really wanted to talk to you. I saw you walking. I saw you in the car driving along. I was like, hey, that's Matt Barkley. I really want to talk to you. Now, despite your terrible play, and I don't care what anyone says, it was terrible. Despite your terrible play, apparently you are still being talked about in the top 10. How the hell is that possible? What are you doing in these interviews? Are you hypnotizing people? What are you doing?
I'm not really hypnotizing people. If you know me personally, you know that I have a great work ethic. I work harder in practice more than any other quarterback in this league. And the thing is, I just know what it takes to be working hard. I'm a prospect out of the University of Southern California that have produced many great quarterbacks in this league, like Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart and Mark Sanchez. So they know they can trust the organization, the school, and whatever I do. So, which means I am someone to trust in this draft. I am someone that is worth a top 10 pick. Yes, I had a bad college season, but I played in a tough conference. I played in the Pac-12. I had to face Oregon. I had to face Stanford. I had to face Arizona. I had to face many, many tough teams. And yes, I did not compete to my highest abilities, but this right here is me personally, and I'm here to show the world that I am still one of the top quarterbacks. I like being the underdog. It makes me hungry every day of my life.
Yeah, not buying it, okay? There's some sort of hypnotism going on, because last that I saw of you, not only were you dealing with a soldier injury, but USC wasn't doing anything. I remember this is a team that was picked to win the national title. They didn't even get anywhere close to that. I'm pretty sure they lost 3-4 games this year. That doesn't scream national championship to me. I know the offensive line was in flux, to say the least, but you still had Robert Woods to throw to, and you weren't even able to do that successfully because of you. Now Robert Woods is in a first round, maybe not even a second round draft pick because of you. Go ahead. I mean, tell us, do you think you're going to be a good fit in Arizona? Because we already know that's where you're going.
Oh, I'm actually going there? Wow, I didn't think my hypnotism would work. Yeah, I definitely would think I'm a good fit. Larry Fitzgerald reminds me a lot of Marquise Lee. We got Andre Roberts, who reminds me of Robert Woods a lot. You know, maybe we should get a tight end for me over there. But in all honesty, I just feel like I'm a perfect fit for Arizona Cardinals. They understand me. They know they can trust me, and I'm better than all the other 4 quarterbacks they have. I can't even name the older quarterbacks, nor the division they play in, but I'm better than their quarterbacks.
All right, well, I guess I'll see you in the NFL.
Am I arrested, sir, or no?
I'm going to let you go. Just don't end up like all the other USC quarterbacks.
Wait, what do you mean? We have successful careers.
I don't know about that one.
Oh.
All right, well, back on to the combine. We want to talk about Geno Smith, who, you know, we weren't. Now, to me, people were really saying, which is ridiculous to me, by the way, that there wasn't going to be a first-round draft pick quarterback this year. All right, now that's ludicrous. You have to understand that teams are desperate to find that franchise quarterback, and despite what they see on TV, as long as these quarterbacks can come into the combine, look pretty at a press conference, say all the right things, have a good pro day, these people will go in the first round and high in the first round. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. I don't understand it. But now, the thing is, we're not saying will he go in the top 5. We're just saying, is Geno Smith a top 5 quarterback to you, Chase? Or top 5 pick?
Top 5 pick, most definitely. Like you said, most teams are looking for quarterbacks. There's teams in that top 5 region where you look at a Jacksonville who have a Blaine Gabbert and a Chad Henne, maybe want to add a younger talent to that quarterback competition to maybe push a Gabbert. You have the Oakland Raiders, who have a Terrell Pryor, who's very inconsistent, and a Carson Palmer, who is way past his prime. Then you look at a Cleveland Browns, and the Browns, I really feel that the Browns should stick with Whedon, but new regime, new management, may want to go for Geno Smith. And the only other pick is the Detroit Lions, but they already have their franchise quarterback. I still believe in Matthew Stafford. I still think he's a good quarterback in this league. Definitely has shown some inconsistency issues, but even then, he's still a better quarterback than Geno Smith. So, in all honesty, besides the Chiefs, who already said that they might be taking Luke Jokel with the number 1 pick, there's 3 teams that are looking at Geno Smith for top 5, and that's the thing. Geno Smith, he's the best quarterback in this draft. Teams are desperate for a quarterback. Oakland seems like the most likely team that will take him, mainly because Jacksonville knows that there is a diamond in the rough. There's Matt Scott out there. Tyler Bray is out there still later on day 2, maybe. E.J. Manuel may be falling into day 2 unless he gets taken in day 1. Ryan Nassib might still be around. Zach Effert, a guy that has just risen up the draft boards as of late. There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have just been, diamonds in the rough that you could find later in day 2. So Jacksonville might want to skip on Geno Smith here and draft an outside linebacker or defensive lineman that can cause sacks and problems. So Oakland seems like the most likely place that Geno Smith could end up unless Buffalo somehow trades up into that top 5 area.
All right, well, again with Geno Smith, I think he is worthy of a top 5 draft pick. The fact of the matter is the talent at West Virginia just wasn't good enough for him to win it. And it's not even a big school either. West Virginia hasn't done anything in years. So the fact that they even got Geno Smith was something. And Tavon Austin, yes, he did have Tavon Austin, but that's it. I think Stedman Bailey or something like that went there. But, yeah, besides that, that's all they had at West Virginia. So I don't really blame Geno Smith for that. Now, he ran a combine. Now, he ran a 40 time about 4.5, and he clearly said after that, I'm not a running quarterback, which he isn't. But when you run that 40, I'm saying maybe you should run a little bit more because that could help us. Look at what Colin Kaepernick was doing this year. All right, I mean, this guy was obliterating people. Now, I'm not saying Geno Smith should do that every single play or even as often as Colin Kaepernick does it, but I'm saying when that offensive line breaks down, maybe he should take it out. Now, he may not have to do that if he goes to Oakland because Oakland, people don't really want to talk about it, but Oakland actually had a pretty good offensive line when it came to pass protection. They were one of the best of the league next to the Giants and the Broncos when it came to protecting their quarterback. So if Geno Smith can go there, he already has potential to be very good. And he also has weapons with Darius Hayward-Bay, Jacoby Ford, and others there. So I would like to see him go to Oakland. That's where my mock draft sticks right now. I think he would be a great fit in Oakland. I think they should really just get rid of Carson Palmer and get rid of that contract that he has. $13 million for Carson Palmer, whether he's starting or not, is ridiculous to me. And then have Terrell Pryor as his backup because Pryor showed during the last game of the season that he could be pretty good. So if Oakland really wants to take a new step with Dennis Allen, because Dennis Allen needs to win games this year, okay? That's it. Dennis Allen needs to win games this year or he's gone. I say get Geno Smith, keep these weapons, keep this offensive line that you have around him, and then Geno Smith can be very good and will be worthy of a top 5 draft pick.
Yeah, because when you look at Oakland, they play in the AFC West, or otherwise known as the AFC Worst. I mean, the only team you have to really worry about is the Denver Broncos. The San Diego Chargers, we don't know what's going to go on with them. We don't know about Phillip Rivers yet. Obviously, we've seen his career going backwards instead of forward. The Kansas City Chiefs ultimately are saying, let's skip rebuilding, which may hurt them in the long run because they're going to get probably maybe Alex Smith from the 49ers, trade something along the lines, try to keep Dwayne Bowe under their grasp so that way they can have a team that hopefully could help them win. But with the Oakland Raiders, they're going to get a new quarterback, fresh new face for their organization, something Oakland needs. They're missing that franchise quarterback. They definitely want to forget about Jamarcus Russell of being their franchise quarterback. They want someone fresh, something new. Geno Smith brings that. He brings that something fresh, something new. He's a guy that I would say I would build my franchise around, especially because it's not trying to get into a little race issue here, but the African-American quarterbacks seem to be more of the popular taste when it comes to the fans. Not only could they throw a deep ball, but they also can run around the football. They're more exciting to watch than an average white quarterback that's a standard pocket passer. I'm pretty sure more people were talking about RG3 and Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck to a degree than more than a Tannehill and Brandon Weeden and the other rookie quarterbacks that were in this league this year. So that's why I think that Geno Smith, he's a perfect guy that if you are a rebuilding team, which Oakland is on the defensive side of the ball, I feel Oakland on the offensive side of the ball could be a really good team with a good quarterback, a standard quarterback. But on the defensive side of the ball, there's no doubt Oakland is rebuilding on that side of the ball. There's no doubt about it. And Dennis Allen is a smart defensive-minded coach. I feel that if they do get Geno Smith, Oakland's just a couple years away of probably busting open to the playoffs. Or who knows, maybe Geno Smith, Oakland finished third in the division. They will have a weaker schedule. And like I said about San Diego and the Denver Broncos secondary doesn't look all that great anymore. Hey, maybe Oakland could sneak into the wild card. You never know. And Geno Smith's definitely a guy that the Raiders, if they want to build a franchise around, they should definitely build a franchise around this man because it will definitely, not only help their fan base, it could also give Oakland, once again, a proud NFL, team to cheer about. It'll put them back on the ranks like they were back in the 70s and 80s with John Madden as the head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think taking Geno Smith, And they're really trying to rebuild this defense. They're releasing all kinds of guys right now. But, taking like a Star Ludalei right here, yes, he would help the defense. But I just think Geno Smith will bring that face, will bring that side of hope, and maybe just a chance one day of getting back there. Because right now, in this days of NFL, right now you have to have an explosive offense really first before you get that defense. So I think taking Geno Smith would be a great pick for Oakland. He could fit in that system very well, and then give Dennis Allen one more year to plug guys into this defense and make the defense very good. But now, before we leave, Chase, I want you to talk about, you wrote an article, Top 10 Sleepers to Watch in the Combine. Now that we're done with the Combine, I want to ask you, who impressed you the most, and who do you think is rising up draft boards very quickly?
Well, for me personally, E.J. Manuel. I wrote him down as a sleeper for a reason. I really felt that this kid had a great Senior Bowl, and that moving on forward, he was going to have a great Combine, and he had that. If you look at him and Geno Smith's numbers, almost identical. Sometimes EJ would outbeat Geno Smith in certain categories, but these two were almost identical with their numbers, and not to mention, he looked amazing to me throwing the football. When he was doing those throwing drills, only a couple of bad balls, not a lot of bad balls. Le'Veon Bell kind of disappointed me. Travis Kelce, he surprised me again. Sadly, Zach Dysert, the guy that I felt that was the best sleeper quarterback in this draft, he did not practice at the Combine, so we'll have to wait till Miami of Ohio's Pro Day to really get a read on him. Another guy that I think I should have put him down, but I didn't because I felt that, most people knew about him, was Deion Jordan out of Oregon. Deion Jordan definitely raised his draft stock on this Combine. He put out a good Combine, and he showed that he's a great defensive outside linebacker that will help out, a lot of teams. And same with Ezekiel Ansah, whether he becomes a defensive end or outside linebacker. But most of the picks that I chose, another one, John Cyprian out of Florida International University, put up a good Combine as well. So definitely a very good sleeper, sleepers that I chose, but it could have been a better list. I could have chosen, I should have went a little bit more deeper.
Also, Marquise Goodson was a guy that I heard of. Me being a Titans fan, I'm always, just looking around, and I heard Marquise Goodson was laying down the law, saying that he was going to take down Chris Johnson's record. So I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, let's see how this kid does. Unofficially ran a 4.21. Now, that was completely changed to a 4.3. And I'm not going to lie, I was sweating a little bit there. Also, Tavon Austin, who really people knew, but he hadn't solidified himself completely as a first-round draft pick. I think he's done that now. He will go in the first round, and it's going to be fun to see him in the first round and going to probably New England. New England wants to find that wide receiver. They were projected to do that last year in the draft, but they ended up going with Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones, which ended up being very good fits for them. But I think they may actually want to go with the receiving core if they do indeed let go with Wes Welker and Brandon Lloyd. And I'm looking at Tavon Austin to go there, or maybe even go earlier to Minnesota. Maybe Minnesota shoots the gun for him at number 24. It'll be very interesting to see, but he's definitely helped his draft stock at the Combine. All right, well, that ends the Combine talk. That ends this podcast. Comment down below your thoughts on the podcast. Make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/beforethekickoff. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/beforethekickoff. And just make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. New podcasts are uploaded every Wednesday, so be prepared for those. For all of us here before the kickoff, we're signing out, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.